Welcome to Conscious Conversations, where we aim to inspire deep and meaningful interactions that grow into a community of practice that is committed to healing, resilience, and expansion. We'll be having conversations with spiritual teachers, impact leaders, plant medicine, and holistic health practitioners about spirituality and personal leadership tools and resources, and how these can help communities cultivate more harmonious and purposeful lives. I am Gomo Manche. Join me as we laugh, cry, and ponder the meaning of life, the universe, and your role in it. In this conversation, we speak to Gomo Manche. Gomo is an award-winning businesswoman with a background in travel and hospitality, fashion and construction. She is a friend to me, a woman whose authenticity has inspired me over the many years I've known her for. And I thought it would be great to chat with her about being real in a world that is increasingly encouraging people to do it for the gram. Good morning, Gomo. How are you?
Hey, friendship. Hey, friend. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
It's my pleasure, my love. I'm so proud of you for creating such a beautiful platform, a beautiful space for young Black women to exist and thrive. So I'm very, very proud of you, my friend.
Thanks a lot, and I really appreciate hearing that from you because I've always looked up to you. I think we met over 10 years ago, and I thought, oh wow,
It's been long, hey?
It's been long, and I think it's great just how much our relationship has strengthened over the years, even though we don't spend a lot of time together, but when we do spend time together, it's meaningful. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, bud.
So as I said, we've known each other for over 10 years. And when I first met you, I thought, oh, wow, you're pretty conscious. I mean, I remember some of the conversations we used to have. You're doing well and still maintained an element of humility, which I really enjoyed about you. There was a tenderness, that you had, that you carried, which I really liked. And I thought to myself, not a lot of people in Joburg are soft, particularly people who are doing well. I think a lot of the time people are under pressure to be in a particular way, and I didn't find that with you. So what has helped you to maintain that tenderness, this softness, even though life can get so hard?
I think it's thank you, friend. All those compliments. Oh my God, I nearly got teary-eyed there for a second. I think if anything, it's because of my upbringing. I come from a long line of women who have generally just done it for themselves over generations. Like my granny was also very successful in her business endeavors. My mom, my sister, who is nearly my peer. So we've always sort of learned from our family structure to be, in as much as we are, business women and, you've got to get things done. At the end of the day, people still matter. You need to recognize the person that's standing right in front of you as a human being, because at the end of the day, we are spiritual beings having this human experience. If we don't treat each other well, it sort of creates a barrier between us. And I remember I've always wanted to just connect with people, irrespective of what I'm doing, whether in business or in social settings. I really just want to have that connection. That's why I hate small talk, by the way. I really detest small talk. I really want to get into the meat of who I'm interacting with. So it just comes from just me wanting to dig deeper into who you are as Mabatu and how we can exist in a space and create a better space for each other in the long run. So yeah,
I like that. And I wonder if in most relationships, particularly now, where, people, it's almost like everybody is just doing it for social media. So you never really know if people are actually happy. I mean, we've seen very high profile people recently committing suicide. We see quite a lot of struggle. I think people are struggling as individuals personally. And I think it is mostly because a lot of the time people fail to have those authentic relationships. What do you think causes that?
I really think that it stems from us thinking that the next person is expecting you to be a certain way. You know what I mean? So we enter a setup and we think, okay, so they're expecting me to be this, boss, bitch, Can you say bitch? So you better bring it. And if it's not you, why are you being like that? I think a lot of the times we see, especially on television or social media or whatever, this imagery that you're supposed to be a certain way in order for you to succeed. So a lot of people are falling into the trap of showing up as something other than themselves. I think that's what it is. Nobody wants to reveal themselves to the next person because it risks you being vulnerable to the next person, and nobody wants to be vulnerable. Nobody wants to feel unsafe in a space. I think that's the big thing about it. That's why people show up that way, because they don't want to get hurt.
I think that's the problem right there, the fact that so many people feel unsafe. And you think that the social circles that we have are there by choice, meaning you are going to intentionally choose to be friends with specific people. And so if you've chosen to, why would you not be comfortable with being yourself around those people? So I think the nature of relationships nowadays is also pretty questionable because, I've made a decision that I don't want to be friends with people I cannot be myself with. So if I can't tell you my stuff, so for me, I cannot maintain friendships where I have to do small talk or where I can't fully be present. Those people I wouldn't regard as friends. So they would be people I know. But the people I choose to have in my life are usually people I know, I feel comfortable talking to about personal stuff. So then I would not feel unsafe. Although you and I have had years of not seeing each other, but when we have gotten together, I can still pour my heart out to you because I know, it's safe for me to do that. So then the question would be, why belong to a circle of friends where you don't feel safe to be yourself, where you don't feel like it's okay to be vulnerable, to break down and say, I'm not coping?
That's a very layered question, in the sense that it depends on what your aim is at life. Because let's say I'm trying to climb some proverbial ladder, right? There's certain social settings that I need to be in. There's certain people that I need to associate with, to be seen as, in order for me to enter certain circles, right? So, if you are the person, your priority is to make it up that particular ladder, you're going to be around people that you don't like. You're gonna be around people that you play nasty nice with, right? Like you're all buddy is for the gram and all of that. But behind closed doors, you go to your real friends and discuss this person, or you kind of scheme together and try and figure out how you surpass this person, right? In those circles. So it all boils down to what is your priority. If you are the person who wants to climb up, then you generally will be around people that you don't like and you play nasty nice with because it's part of the social setting that you want to be a part of or belong to, in order for you to advance. So I think you and I are aligned in the sense that we don't necessarily subscribe to that lifestyle. I can speak for myself, friend. I don't want to be part of that. I think, look, even if it takes me longer to get to where I need to go, I think I'll take that route because nothing beats authentic conversation and authentic friendship, even authentic business. Nothing beats that as well. Like where you know that you have a group of people, you have the same values, you have the same principles, and you are literally aligned in where you're going. Even if it's for 5-10 years, if the relationship disbands, this person's not going to go out there and, spill your business because you're aligned. You both have the same values, right?
That's so important. I don't think we invest enough time identifying what our personal values are, particularly our core values. And I mean, I'll say this because, as you know, I recently got divorced, 2 years ago. And I think that one of the contributing factors was the fact that I don't think I understood my personal values. Outside of the fact that I don't think people are always transparent about who they are, at the beginning. So people aren't always transparent about who they are. So there's also that element of, deceit. And I think we increasingly have to ask for discernment, pray for discernment, because a lot of the time people also present themselves as what they're not, and that can sometimes take you off track a bit, particularly if you know what your values are, you think you share the same values with a person, and you realize that you actually don't. So yeah, I don't think it's always easy to figure out whether you share the same values with people or not, because sometimes people do not present themselves as who they actually are in real life.
Yeah, it goes back to like playing this role, right? That you think, oh my God, this girl probably thinks that, this is how I should show up as a man, right? I should be this leader. I should, provide her with things and a house and a white picket fence, all of those things. And I think it's how generally men have grown up. Like it's not a manly thing. I'm going to talk about divorce and relationships. It's not a manly thing for you to kind of wear your heart on your sleeves, right? It's not a manly thing for you to say, actually, you know what? I'm struggling right now. It really isn't. A man should always show up having it all figured out. And because men are generally being taught to show up in that way, we get robbed as single women from, having a man that's both like a provider and a protector, but also very vulnerable and can express. Because I think that's the new generation, right? That's the new generation of men that I'm seeing coming up. They're not extremely patriarchal. They're not extreme douchebags. They're not like Donald Trump, trying to grope you. There's a tenderness about them, but because I love their dads also because, they raised them, but because they were taught by their dads that this is how a man acts, they can't really reconcile their tenderness and gentleness with this is how a man acts. So that conflict, that internal conflict, I feel is the thing that really just bars them from having good relationships with good women. You're like top tier friend. You're like top tier woman.
Thank you.
You have it all figured out. You have like everything, beauty, brains, drive, ambition. So, unfortunately, you require a lot more than, what our mothers required.
And I like that you bring our mothers into this conversation because I've often felt like, older women also support patriarchy so much. I mean, you hear so many stories where our mothers, our aunts, our grandmothers are like literally, no, you need to stay. You need to figure it out. As a woman, you must ensure that your household works out, your family works out. Words that I've been told, Musadi we kahela motse wa hae ka matso a hae. And that means bearing it all. And I have a fundamental problem with that. But I also guess that they are coming from their own trauma, some of the things that they have had to endure. But it's really a pity when those things cannot be recognized as social ills, in our communities, because I don't think it's really helpful to be thinking like that. I mean, we are living in times where there are diseases, where, there's a lot going on. So for families, particularly the older generation, to still be subscribing to that kind of thinking, I think it's very discouraging. We see the amount of women who get killed all the time because of gender-based violence, because they don't think it's acceptable for them to leave. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take for things to change for us, particularly as Black women, who are trying to figure themselves out, who are trying to contribute to society with more than just being a wife or more than just pretty. I think some of us want to do more than that. And sometimes you find yourself in a space where, in order to be perceived as a good wife, you kind of need to be on mute. which is problematic.
God, that is probably why I've never been married. Society expects you to stomach patriarchy because they've also been victims of, I would call it, patriarchal crimes. Anything that has really negatively or adversely affected women in the past, they have been victims too. Right? And so they look at you and they're like, who the hell are you to not go through the same trauma that I went through?
Sure.
Right? In not so many words. Right? They say, but who the hell are you? This is how it's done. This is how it's always been done. Who the hell are you to come and think that you can do different?
Or deserve better.
Or you deserve. That's a big one. That's a big one. And I say, you know what? I will die. This is the hill I'm willing to die on. Even if I don't experience it in my lifetime. I want it. I believe it's possible. I believe it's there, and I believe that we can experience a different kind of man, right? I believe these men are there. However, because they are also victims of patriarchy, they can't really be themselves. They're also falling into
the same cycle.
The cycle. Right? Because they think, this is probably why my dad did this, because my mom was veering off out of line, didn't want to listen to me. So like now I have to do the same thing. No.
So, I mean, your mom, Asante, is what, turning 3 now? 4?
She's 3 this year. She's turning 4 next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how has that been like?
The greatest gift. The greatest gift in the sense that, to be honest with you, I never, and this is one thing that I've really honestly had to like, sit down and actually think about. Like, I never wanted to be a mom. Let's just have an honest conversation. I was literally, my ambitions were usually, especially in my late 20s and early 30s, I've always just wanted to stand on my own 2 feet. I've always just wanted to be able to be myself, you know. So that journey has really just kept me occupied. So I never really thought about, okay, let me have a baby, let me have a husband. So when she arrived, it was like such a pleasant surprise. And now that she's here, it's like one of those things where I'm like, oh my God, how was I living my life without this little princess?
Oh, wow.
Like, how did it happen? Like, every time I wake up, cause now she's still sleeping, you know, with me in my bed. I haven't really, you know, sent her to her own little room. Every time we wake up, she's like, wake up, mommy, it's sunny day. Aww. And I just want to just well into tears because she's just such a ray of sunshine, someone that I didn't think I needed, but I really need in this stage of my life. So yeah, motherhood has been really, really like kind, considering the I wouldn't say, I'm not a baby mama, guys.
Tell us about that.
No, I'm not a baby mama.
You're a single mom.
Yeah, I'm not a baby mama.
And I know, so this is personal insights, right? I know there are a couple of guys who are willing to
put a ring on it.
To put a ring on it.
No. Friend, it goes back to, is this person the right fit for me? And is this person going to tell me, Gindo dala? You see that conversation? That's not where I come from. I'm sorry. No, I can't. I will not be able to, you know, I'm willing to forfeit so many things. Like I did. I let go of so many things. Private jets, holiday homes for my peace and my purpose. I'm willing to let go of that. It's the hill I'm willing to die on.
And that's incredible, you know, because, you know, for a lot of young Black women, well, judging from what we see on social media, the jet life, the Dubai is a popular thing now, the LAs, you know, that is like the ultimate, seemingly, for a lot of young, pretty women, Black women in particular. And it's just very interesting how you've had the chest, how you've had the discipline and how you've been able to just maintain who you are and say, you know what, that can pass me.
Yeah, friend, it's not easy. It's not easy, but you have to remember that you came alone, you're going to die alone. You need to figure your own life out first before you can even decide to jump onto anybody else's wagon. I'm not saying I'm an independent woman. I'm very much romantic, guys, and I'm not a feminist. I still believe in the traditional home, but unfortunately with my mentality, it doesn't fit in because the home has been turned into like full-blown patriarchy, right? It's no longer about, it's our partnership. It's you getting to know me getting to know you, not me buying you Because that's the main thing. I am not a thing
Commodity.
to be bought. Yes, I'm not a thing to be bought.
I like that you said, you have your own journey, you've got your own purpose. One of the things that I've always maintained was that I never wanted to walk into a man's house with my luggage bags and think that would be my home. Because I wanted to have a voice. I want to have a voice. And I find that in situations where you are walking into someone's life on their terms to fit into their lives, then, you almost cease to exist when it comes to other conversations because yimi ndoda la. So if you can't stomach that, I suppose this marriage thing with how things are right now, it's a bit tricky for a lot of us. But it's also interesting to see how there have been those relationships that really seem to reflect what Black love is, or what it can be, where people are really walking alongside each other, where it doesn't seem like there's one above and one below.
Yes.
That's the kind of partnership you're referring to, right? Where you are walking next to each other, where you are helping each other navigate your own journeys and choosing to build a life together. Because you have common goals, you have common values, and you want to grow as a family, as opposed to the other one following the other one's direction, because the other one is the one bringing the bacon home.
Don't get me wrong. I still want leadership in a man. I always say that I'm not gonna, I don't want that whole blind leading the blind situation when it comes to a relationship. So I don't yes, I want us to function in our own respective roles, but at the end of the day, a man is the leader, right? He needs to have it together, and I'm not saying just monetarily or just with the guap and whatever, but he needs to have it together in the sense that he knows
what
his
he's doing.
role. Yeah, he knows what he's doing. And he's not ego driven.
Talking about people knowing what they're doing, Gomo, I have experienced people who want to benefit from that extraordinary type of respect, right, as a man, but they don't know what they're doing. What is it? Because you are not thriving in your career. You are horrible at communicating. You are a horrible leader. Good leaders communicate well. Good leaders are honest. Good leaders are genuine. Those are leaders who are impactful. So I think this thing of men just thinking that they are leaders because they're men also needs to be changed, just like in corporate. I mean, we experience it in corporate, we experience it with our government, where because people have got the power to do something by virtue of their position, they do not go back to reflect and look at whether they're doing it well, whether they're being impactful, whether they are achieving the results that they wish to achieve. Do they even think about it that deeply? Because I think I was actually thinking about it on my way here to say, it's a big responsibility. I think
huge.
Number one, I think the role of a woman is very big because we carry life. We are nurturers. We are givers. We have so many roles. And I personally think a role of a man is to protect all of that. I think
that is a really cool perspective. Okay. And
the protecting comes in different layers. I definitely don't think it's all about money, but it comes in different layers. But I don't think people recognize that.
So I like how you've sort of you sort of like captured how a relationship between a man and a woman should be. But can I offer another perspective to say, okay, fine, you guys are coming in as two separate entities, right? And then in your union, you are sort of giving birth to another one, right? Lily too, you're giving birth to this new baby that you should both nurture. And like you're saying, that baby needs to be attended to with good communication, good leadership, a good direction and vision from God, you know, because I'm a very big, a man should follow God first, not even me, not the world, not his career. A man should follow God first and gain direction and vision from God for our vision and mission for this new baby that we've birthed, right, together. So, I think, yes, a lot of us in relationships think that, oh, I'm coming with this, you know, I'm the man or I'm the woman, you know. So it kind of gives us this toxic femininity and toxic masculinity situation, and then we're together and then it combusts. We don't recognize that there's a new baby that's being given birth to right now that we need to nurture together, and bringing our own respective skills together to make sure that the baby grows.
So how does, because I kind of had a problem with this. I don't know if I should be saying it on the
Oh my God.
So
exclusive.
Yeah. So like one of the things that I feel, okay, fine, within Black culture, it's known that as a woman, you leave your family to join another family, right? And then you follow their traditions and all the things that they do, right? According to most Black people. For me, I feel like as a man and a woman who decide to start a life together, yes, of course, there will be things that you need to do for your children that are done within, the family that you're married into, like issues around specific ceremonies and things of the bloodline, right? But I also feel like the two people, the couple, should have the freedom to create their own life and their own culture. But that does not seem to be something that is acceptable. I feel like, because I feel like I also come from somewhere. I also have my personal exposure, my own dreams, the kind of life that I hope to live, even as a married woman, for instance. So that hope to say my partner and I will create the life that we want together, and we will have our own family traditions. So what we do over Christmas, what we do over, special or memorable times or holidays and so on. And it is seemingly a problem. Your take on that?
Joe, friend, first and foremost, I've never gone that far in the race. I'll tell you that for free. So for me, it's what I imagine, right? What I imagine would happen. I've never been married. Okay, let's go back to the analogy of the baby, right? The baby is there. The baby is a combination of both of your wins in your respective families, because you guys know, if you're a good pair, you guys will be self-aware. You'll recognize that, okay, so my family was good at this, that, and the other. And then the guy will also recognize that my family was good at this, that, and the other. Let's create this baby where this baby is going to thrive in this environment, right? And the big book says that, what is it? Men, cleave to your wives.
I know, but they don't recognize that. How come? A man will leave his father's home, right? I don't know the Bible.
But yes, cleave to your wives and forget your father's home type situation, right? So, if the gentle brother is very much attached to his home, we'll take the good parts. Just take the good parts. And then be very adamant that you will not allow the bad parts to seep into your own family environment. You just have to create that barrier. You just have to create that boundary to say, listen, okay, look, I recognize that your family is good with business. They're very good with holidays. You know, the decor is always on point. They know this, that, and the other, whatever, you know, whatever good that comes from the other side. Because I can imagine the reason why you picked a guy is because some good was there, right? There was something that drew you to the guy. So, and for you to get to that point, obviously you've seen certain things, you know, in the family and you're like, oh my God, I really want to be a part of this beautiful thing. So just take the good parts and literally block out the bad parts.
So my point is, it seems to be the expectation that a woman will completely leave what they know and fall within this new setup, even when the new setup has got major cracks. And that is a difficult thing to work around. You know, I've seen it. I've seen it happen, you know, outside of people, outside of myself, actually. I've seen it happen with other people where it's almost the expectation that where you come from ceases to exist because you are now joining this family. And I think it also comes from this thing of changing surnames, which is, I don't know, if I were to remarry, I don't know if I would change my surname again. Yeah, because I would like to maintain my identity. You know, there's value in where all of us come from. But I feel like within the Black community, it's still something that is not understood, you know, to say, okay, we are now married. Let's create our own home with our own traditions. And it doesn't mean that you are neglecting other things that work. But a lot of the time, people also do not want to be honest with themselves in recognizing other things that don't work. I mean, every organization has its challenges. Every family has got its challenges. And there would be things that don't work from the other family. But to just be expected to blindly follow, you know, I think it's a problem. And I don't think many couples really talk about it openly. I also don't think that men are also open enough with their partners to say, I understand. They know that, you know, this is a problem in the family, but because they're the man and it is expected of them, they kind of ignore that. And it creates a lot of challenges and conflict within those kind of relationships. But I want to talk about you deciding to be single. You know, I'm sure you have looked into other situations. You've seen how these new age unions, marriages, how they work or how they don't work. We've seen many high-profile or celebrity sort of people getting divorced after a short period of time, you know, after having been married. What is your take around singlehood? What has, outside of your personal values, what are the major things that have made you to decide to say, you know what, up until you meet your perfect partner, you will be single? Because there's also pressure, you know, you're beautiful, you're successful. There's also that pressure amongst our peers for people to get married.
Yeah, man, that's really packed. Let me start by saying, in my previous unconscious life, right, I wanted so badly to fit into the lowest version of a man, right?
Sure.
Like the lowest of the lowest. Like I wanted to be this girl, that really just appeals to this lowest version, like the man who's unconsciously flowing through life, getting paid, getting paper, throwing money at me. I thought that that's what I would want. But when it happened, I was just non-responsive.
And how have you found that your community, people around you, have sort of perceived it or understood it? I mean, singlehood, if people don't perceive you to be this feminist who has a problem with men or being maybe too expensive. I always say I love men so much. But there's
especially the chocolate ones. Chocolate brothers come through. Anyways, yes.
But there seems to be this preconceived idea around singlehood to say when you're a single woman, in your prime, beautiful, there must be something wrong about you. What is your understanding around singlehood and choosing to be a single mom?
I don't think anybody chooses to be a single mom, to be honest with you. I think when you make a baby, you make the conscious decision to make a baby with somebody that you really think you're going to build a future with. Like somebody that you feel, okay, this person is my guy, I'm in, we're going to get married, white picket fence, a house, more babies, The unfortunate thing is that sometimes you just, it doesn't happen that way. I'm not going to say because it's the wrong guy or whatever. I could have been the wrong girl for him, So, it was not a conscious choice to be a single mom. I think the manosphere really just has this other version of a single woman who keeps on making being a single, mom situation, like they put it on themselves to be. It's not like I had hopes to marry this person. It wasn't just like one of those fly-by-night situations where it's like, I just want to make a baby. No, that's not how it happened. So I did not make a conscious decision to be a single mom. However, I recognize that also being a single mom to a girl child, there's a certain precedence that I wanted to set, in the sense that I wanted my baby to recognize that this is how a woman should move in this world. A woman should move with freedom to be herself, freedom to have the space to make her own decisions in life. Right? Even if it does not serve the dictates of the society that, okay, this is what a single woman should do. She should just assimilate and move into being somebody's wife because now twanza apate bohlaswa. I did not want to move in that, discomfort of feeling like twanza ke pate bohlaswa baka. I wanted to live in my truth enough so that if I get and when I get a partner of my own, they recognize this truth that I'm not trying to patch him into my situation, that I've got it under control, that my baby is thriving in an environment where she finds a lot of love and peace and provision, and abundance. That the situation that I want to find myself in is not one to be ashamed of at the end of the day, that this person is going to step into something that actually also already works. He's not going to be Captain Save-A-Ho, he's not going to come and, swoop me no, it's a conscious coupling, right?
I like that.
It's the conscious coupling of two people who recognize, okay, I do have a child And I'm not trying to make you my child's father, but if you will fill that role, it would be great. It would be a bonus, but it's taken care of, right? It's okay. And the situation is thriving, irrespective of whether or not, there is a male figure in the space. So I wanted my daughter to see that even if you make not a mistake, I can't say it's a mistake because I can't say my baby's a mistake, but if it
doesn't work out how you intended,
exactly, like
you can change your mind.
You can still move. You know, you can still operate. You know, you can still operate and find ways to be authentic and free from the constraints of the society.
I like that you say that, because I think it was one of the things that informed my decision. I mean, I'm raising 2 gorgeous boys, and for me, it was like, okay.
Shout out Tai, shout out Rory.
Yeah. For me, so the thing, it really boiled down to, is this the example of love I want my children to understand?
Yeah.
Because by staying, that is what we are saying to them.
Exactly.
And we are also saying to them, this is how you will treat your women because my mom stayed. And we see this with the guys, that we are dating with our peers. They think it's okay to do certain things because their moms stayed. So I think when women make the decision to stay in toxic situations, in situations that are not working, they often use their children as an excuse to say, my children, I don't want, but are you really, really doing justice to your children by saying this is the best that there is? Because for me, that was the thing. For me, the decision was really about, am I saying this is the best depiction of what I think a role of a man is? And it just did not work out. So a big part of it was because I wanted my children to understand manhood differently and to not...
especially because they're boy children.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think it takes us, this generation, to change the narrative, to change
Absolutely.
the reasons why we
It's up to
stay.
us.
It's up to us because we are the mothers. So if we accept certain things, we are saying it's okay for our children. We are just continuing the cycle, just dressed up differently, right?
Boy children, very important also. I don't know why they were neglected all those other years. Maybe it's because girl children were neglected for so many years. But I truly believe that boy children are also future leaders. They're the ones that are literally going to pull us out of the hole that we are currently in, because we have mothers like Mabatu saying, my baby, listen, in as much as this is the world that we find ourselves in, this is the position that I find myself in, you can see that mommy is trying her best to create a better world for you and the person that you're going to be coupled up with. I mean, that's a later conversation, right? For you and your boy children. And so I truly believe that it's a double effort, right? And also for women to recognize that, yes, it's okay to be fabulous and young and cute and whatever, but you need to back it up too. You don't have to walk around this world and just be pretty. It's boring. It's redundant. I feel like women, and you know what? I've had relationships where I've had the feedback of gentle brothers saying to me, I really feel like women are the future. I've had 2 or 3 guys saying, I really feel like it's just that women don't recognize that about themselves sometimes. A younger generation, maybe between 35 and 38. Yeah, that generation, I feel like, is the generation that kind of understands what women need in our age groups, right? they reckon that they're still soft. They're a little bit soft. They're still a little bit like out there in the streets hustling, and also, romantic and a little bit self-aware, So it's not impossible. I don't believe men are dumb, like how patriarchy likes to depict them, like, oh, they're chasing his skirts and blah, blah, blah. I really don't believe that. So it's very important for us to recognize that we need each other.
We do, and I'm so glad you brought that up. I've been doing quite a bit of reading around spirituality and sexuality, and how the masculine and the feminine create one, are the whole. How both as men and women, we have got both the masculine and the feminine. Even in relationships as a man and a woman, how it's a possibility, a very big possibility for both of us to create or to exist in a balanced way, where, a woman is not overly needy, because that's also problematic.
I become needy though sometimes.
Sometimes.
I will admit. I do.
Sometimes. Last night I tweeted, that, I've been having a problem with my home printer for the past 2 days, and I'm like, where are men when you need them? And that is obviously a typical thing where you think men are supposed to be technical. But the point is, there is a need for a man in my life, but it must be the right man. So I'm not just going to have a man at all costs.
For the sake.
For the sake of it. I think sometimes we can have men. In fact, personally, I've got a couple of options.
Dude.
But they're just not the right fit.
The Rolodex is full, packed. However. Yeah, friend. Yeah, it's just one of those, you know what? I am on that path where I feel like I even abstained for the year. Like, I was just like, you know what? Let me align to whoever it is that I'm supposed to be with. Like, I was that desperate.
Look, I don't think taking time out to figure, because sex can also confuse things. I know that when the sex is good, we tend to think everything is good. We tend to think that is the one because the sex is great. But that's not it necessarily, and because it takes so much time to figure out the other stuff. So if you are dating, you see each other, let's just say 3 times a week or whatever, you don't really get to see the whole person.
Because we've got busy lives.
And we've got other things to do. But then the sex is always memorable if it is great. So we always use that as like a thing. We always use that as a thing, but it shouldn't really be well, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think sex is a deal maker or breaker?
Well, girl, you just no. I still have a mom and a dad out there, so I really can't have this conversation, friend. No, I can't.
Okay, Mara.
I think, okay, let me sort of like, I think you can use sex or the sexual desire to sort of, create the life that you want. That's what I've done this year. Like, I've seen some really, really, really good results.
Okay.
With things like sexual transmutation.
Yeah.
Like really, really good, like miraculous results where I've sort of started manifesting things that, I would have otherwise, honestly, because sex and the sexual desire is such a huge energy force that we don't use enough.
I like that you're bringing that into the conversation. that life force that create, because sexual energy is creative energy.
Exactly.
And I don't think we use it enough to create what we want. Either you have to be pretty spiritual to understand that and to be able to use that energy for manifesting. Have you figured out how it works, or it happened by fluke?
Fluke. No, not by fluke, my friend. I think I went through my own, and I think this is a journey that people should also go through, where they're sort of like in the space in their lives where they're not really struggling to survive, but they're going through some sort of existential crisis. To say, okay, so I've got all of these things. I'm here. So what is my purpose? Why am I here? Right? I started asking myself those questions that, okay, so here we are. What's the next step? I want to take the right step. I don't want to miss my mark. Right? I want to take the right step from here on out. How do I align myself with that right step? And that's how I started flowing into exactly how, practically, not praying. I think that's the thing that people don't get. Yes, prayer is very powerful, but there's practice to prayer, right? It's not just like sending words up in the air and hoping that things are going to happen.
Your heart needs to be right.
Everything has to align. So your head and heart and actions have to align, right? It takes a lot. It's a practice.
I'm glad that you're bringing the head into this thing, because with the things that I'm learning that, so the feminine energy gravitates towards the heart space. The masculine energy gravitates towards the head space. But in order to be a balanced human being performing at your optimum, the two need to be in alignment, because you still need the heart for that compassion, for the love, for the purity as to why. And you obviously need the mind, for the logic, for making things work in this world, but still maintaining the essence of that, of the compassion, of that humanity within the heart space. So it takes us back to how masculinity and femininity need to coexist.
There definitely has to be some sync, right? Like I said previously, there has to be a practice where you actually practice what you're trying to achieve, right? The sync. There's a lot of meditation that has to take place. There's a lot of fasting that has to take place, right? There's a lot of recognition. When I say recognition within yourself, me personally, I function because I have to provide for myself. I have to make sure that I bring bacon to the table. I have to make a conscious decision to go back to my feminine, right? I have to make a conscious decision to say, okay, yes, I'm flowing. Worst of all, I'm in construction, so that even makes it more worse.
A very masculine space.
Yes. I made a conscious decision to exist within that world, being exactly who I am, right? Being a woman. Yes, a woman can be logical. Yes, a woman can make sense. Yes, a woman can function in a, I wouldn't say male-dominated world, because it's just like, it's literally, construction is literally just making sure that you perform certain functions until the project
is
ends.
complete.
We do that all the time, sometimes unconsciously. Just think about like giving birth. We do that unconsciously. So it is in our nature to do it. Right? So they say it's male dominated, but I really feel like we need to create an imagery that kind of speaks to it differently, to say, yes, there is another way to think about it or see it. You can still be feminine and be a contractor, right? We're doing it. My mom has been doing it for 20 years, for God's sake. So it takes us making a conscious decision to be free to exist in spaces that would have otherwise been known differently or seen differently. You know, I don't know if you understand.
I understand it, and what immediately comes to mind is, I mean, I've met your mom. She's really great, a very strong character. But the fact is, some of these spaces have been known to be very male dominated, and you know, for women to get certain breakthroughs, sometimes men will impose themselves on women.
Definitely.
So how have you been able to navigate those kind of dynamics?
So men exist in every industry. They dominate in every industry. So even when I was in the FMCG space, even when I was in the travel agency space, where I still found myself in rooms where it was like, it's either the contract or your thighs type situation. And I literally opted out. It's either the contract or your thighs. No, thank you, sir. No, thank you very much. I am not stuck in survival mode. I refuse to be stuck in survival mode. I believe in a world where I can exist and I don't have to compromise myself. God brought me here for a reason. I don't have to do that. I really don't. Maybe I'm speaking from a point of privilege because of where I come from. Maybe. Fortunately, I don't have to. I really don't.
So what do you say to more than 50% of South African Black women who find themselves in those situations because for them, it is an issue of survival. It is an issue of moving from being, from a demographics point of view, from a statistics point of view, being seen as lower class to middle class or even working class, you know, because that is sometimes what it means, that you know, where food can be taken out of your mouth because you are refusing to play along.
You're not complying.
You are not complying.
Non-compliant.
What's the goodies?
Hey. No, friend. Like, how I know it's possible is through you.
Oh.
How I know it's like absolutely possible that you can say no, refuse profusely to be dragged into something that is not authentic to who you are. It's through you, and you have, I mean, I'm sure people already know your story by now. You've come through really, really difficult circumstances, friend. And here you are still saying it is possible. It's not easy.
It's definitely not easy.
But it is possible to choose yourself. Choose you. Always choose you. Maybe people don't have the courage or the strength or whatever you have, because I really believe that you have like the supernatural, whatever it is that you have. But seeing you walk this journey, and I always ask myself, like, how does this girl do this? How does she remain so resilient with what she's been through? She could have honestly assimilated long time ago. Long. You could have even stayed in your marriage, friend.
I could. And it was nice, comfortable.
It was soft life. Soft life. Yeah? But here she is, podcasting.
And it's difficult, Gomo. It's really difficult being a single mom, single headed household, liking things as I do. I mean, I love a quality life. I love doing nice things. I want my children to have exposure to things, to life, because I think exposure helps you navigate life better. We just make different decisions. I've often felt like we make long-term permanent decisions based on very little that we know about life. If there's anything I could change about the lives of young Black people, it would be either traveling, reading, or something that just shows them the alternative to what they think is the best thing. Because there is so much more. But I don't know if people know that. There's so much more. And it's really sad that we only have, it's not even 5% of what's possible for us, as average people. You don't have to come from a wealthy family, but just what is possible. I mean, we've seen people who don't even have university degrees, but they've made it, and they've made it big. But that is because they've chosen to dream differently and to believe in themselves so much, even if it takes you long. But it is possible. I just don't know. I think, again, one of our challenges is this instant gratification thing.
Absolutely.
We want it now and we want it all.
Look, we're all guilty of it. Like, we all, especially with us being young and stuff, we think things should happen here and now. But you soon realize through life will humble you to say, listen, my girl, it doesn't really work like that. And if you take heed, you will be able to hear little whispers from God, the universe, Buddha, Allah, whoever you believe in, right? That, no, come this way, And it takes practice. It takes, unfortunately, it's work. And sometimes it's work that you don't physically see. But after a year practicing this thing, you'll just be like reading through something or reading through your journals and you're like, oh my God, this is what I prayed for. It's happening. It's right here and now. This is it. This is who I am now. The girl that I thought, would never ever exist a year ago is here and now doing the things, right? It's not material. I think that's the problem that we have. Sometimes you need to expect results that are immaterial, right? Not necessarily like a new car or a new house or a new this or a new, things that you can see. You need to expect things like, oh my God, I changed my perspective about how I think about relationships, I changed my perspective about how I think about my family, or I healed something about the hurt that I felt from my lineage. Something. There's always going to be
that
a
personal
change.
Growth, né?
Yes, there's always going to be an immaterial change, something that you can't see, that is much more valuable than silver or gold.
I like that, Gomo. I like that because I think we're stuck in the material, man. And once you start changing your perspective, once you start seeing things differently, that's where the real growth is, isn't it?
That's the juice, man. That's the juice. That's where it is. That's like the real yumminess of life. Recognizing that you exist far beyond this material world. You can even make this material world so much more richer and funner, if that's even a word. With the material, like yes, you're having a glass of wine. By the way, guys, I'm drinking like premium wine right now on the podcast. You can have this, but it's not you. You are far more valuable than this glass of wine or champagne or whatever, or this brand or this Dior or LV. Yes, you're enjoying it, but I think the juice comes in, the juiciness, the yumminess comes in when you recognize that this is not what makes me. This is an enhancement of life. This is the abundance that God promised in my life. Not that it
doesn't
makes
define you.
I who define kore ha o tsama mo strateng, you don't feel like, oh my God, tshwantse ke kgatelle batho ka sose, or tshwantse ke kgatelle batho ka what I have, and I think that is very detrimental, especially to our culture right now, that re batla go bontshana. Go nna ke na leng, wena o na leng. And unfortunately, it just feeds into the bigger wheel of consumerism. Once you understand economics, I studied macro and microeconomics, right? So at the end of the day, there's a wheel. There's a bigger wheel that's spinning.
This capitalist system.
Yes. But I believe in capitalism. Don't get it twisted, right?
No,
my frills are very socialist, but I believe in capitalism. Otherwise, the world will shut down.
And I totally get that. But I think the difference is when you understand that it's not, you don't have to have it at all costs. When people feel that they have to be with a particular dude because then he's going to gift her with an LV bag, and there isn't really more substance to the relationship other than that, other than it being a transaction. So understanding your value as a person, and 28,000 Rand bag, yeah, Louis Vuitton, is that what you're saying you're worth? Because in practical terms, that is what it boils down to. If you're willing to take all of these things, like the treatment, because we've seen people who get horrible treatment, but they endure it because it means that they are going to drive an ML, they are going to live at a particular address, they are going to wear specific clothes. For me, I see that as a person who's saying, okay, this is what I'm with. And for me, it could never be, for me, my freedom, and I don't know where I got it from, but my freedom has always been so important to me.
You have that, you have that more than anybody in the world. I can tell you, if there's one thing you have, is the need to imprint yourself in the beautiful parts of the world. Like, you have literally strived to become the best version of yourself. And that for me is very admirable. That's why I'm still in your life, friend, to be honest, between you and I. That's why I'm just like, I admire you so much for fighting for yourself. And the first point of reference that you used is not the material world, so that it's the spiritual world, so that align with who God destined you to be. It takes a very strong person to recognize gore bophelo ha se ntho tso di tshwarang. That's not life. Bophelo, friend. And I really, really admire that there are people out there, not just you also, there are people out there who also see that, look, bophelo is much more than koloi, there's nothing as painful as finding yourself in a freaking private jet, but you're not happy. You're sitting there taking pictures, man. How monad yo? I didn't. Hey, picture is perfect, and people think that's normal. It's not. I refuse to think that's normal.
What do you think it takes to influence better?
I don't think I want to influence that. I generally just want to focus on my own life as a person. I don't think I can influence that, to be honest. It's a personal journey. If you believe that that's how you think your life is supposed to flow, then that's fine. But if you need help navigating the world in a more abundant way, because that's a scarcity mentality, right?
It is,
I
actually.
refuse to operate in a scarcity mentality where I feel like a man is the only person that will be able to provide that life for me.
Your only option in life.
My only option in life.
When God is there and he said, I'm creating you in my own image. And he's created all of this. I mean, the universe. And imagine we are created in his image. What power
It's tempting.
do we have?
It's tempting, friend, because it's hard. The world is very hard and it's very harsh. And the wheel of patriarchy, the system of patriarchy has kept us in this wheel, right? This hamster wheel, right? But it takes, I don't know, friend, like for me, it took me to say, my God is not the God who will give me a man to give me my life.
I love that.
Like my God is much more vast and abundant.
He works directly.
Direct. Even if, let's say, okay, tomorrow I meet a gentle brother, we come together, he will be the one to sort of give us the material gains together, then, if that's the point. Right? He will be the one, not because relationship now now this person is the one that's going to give me all of these nice things for me to live. I believe that my God is bigger than that, honestly.
I love that. I mean, from the beginning of our conversation, God seems to be a very strong role player in your life. Just tell me a bit more about your relationship with God.
Well, first and foremost, he formed me in his image, like you said. I believe that we are a thumbprint of who he is, you know. In as much as we believe that life is flowing and, you know, we're cruising nicely, God literally dictates each and every facet of our lives. And for me, God means so much that I am willing to lay down any and everything to just hear like what he has planned for my life. Because I believe it's so much bigger than what I could have ever imagined, what my mother or sister or brother could have ever imagined. And that's a reality that I want to live in, right? That's my dream. That's my dream life, right? When I dream about my life, yes, I might have my little vision board and whatever, and, you know, obviously to keep you going, because you need a practice. You need to practice something in order for you to realize your dreams and your goals. In as much as I have that, I'll always be like, God, okay, this is my vision, but I know you have better for me. You know?
I love that.
This is what it is, but I know, okay, fine, I'll put it down there. Be like, my heart is not even in it because I know you've got better for me.
I like that.
I really, really recognize God in such a way that I feel like there's nothing I can do to ever move away from the purpose that he has for my life. All I can do is just listen. All I can do is just ask him to come to me in ways that I'll be able to recognize.
I like what you're saying, Gomo, because for me, I've been learning to understand God's love. And God's love is so much different. And I think for me, it's one of the things that have inspired me to not want anything less than what God has promised me.
That's what it does. That's what God's love does. That you are willing to forfeit dilo tsa lefatshe. That's what it does. That you are willing to say, yes, I'm happy for my sister or my brother or my friend, but I know that's not for me. I know that's not what, or it's not my turn. Or, once you sit in
clapping
that.
for other people.
Yes.
And knowing that it's not your turn will come.
Yes. And if and when your turn comes, it means also that it's for you, not what it looks like for.
Other
I've always
people.
been conscious of, I don't know, maybe it's the gift that God gave me. I always say that it's the gift that God gave me, that I've never looked at anybody's life. Like, I can even tell you, I've never looked at even Jay-Z and Beyonce's life and be like, oh my God, I wish I lived like that. Because I know the struggles that they're also facing in their own respective lives. They are probably not, I'm not even going to project, but
everybody has got their own challenges.
Everybody has their own challenges. The gift that God has given me is that I've never looked at somebody's life and envied it. Instead, I've always looked at my own life and thought, God, how can I better my own life? Yes, I'm here. I recognize that I'm here. I see that I'm here. What are the wrong turns that I took? Show me. And then direct me in the right path. I'm here, I'm very patient.
I like that, having a teachable spirit.
Yes.
It's very important. So even in corporate, in, places where we want to be mentored or to learn from other people, we need to have a teachable spirit. But it goes back to saying, our bodies, our spirits need to be an environment that allows God to live, to reside, So having a pure heart.
Oh my God, that's such a beautiful point, friend. Yes.
Having a pure heart is very important. Things like envy, jealousy, constantly being discontent, or not content with your life. And being content doesn't mean you are not working on your goals. It doesn't mean that you are not striving for more, but it means that you are not in competition with other people. You recognize your own personal journey. You recognize that your personal circumstances were probably there to lead you somewhere, and to be the type of person who can ask other people, how did you do it? Because that is how we learn. Having that insight or intelligence of knowing when to actually sit down and listen to what God has to say to you, because He does speak to us, because He resides within us. Now, if you're constantly busy comparing, looking at, outwardly, you don't get the opportunity to listen to your inner being, because that is how God speaks to us.
Absolutely, friend. I love how you said that God speaks to us in different ways, right? Individually, because we've all got individual paths, right? So I don't know if I knew this like in my core, or if but I think I did. I didn't know this in my core, but it's only now that I'm actually putting it in words. And there's a whole law. I've been reading the Book of the Dead. I don't know if you know the Book of the Dead. It's ancient Kemetic scripture, right? And it literally just outlines all the respective laws of the universe, right? One of them, which is one law that I'm currently like seeping myself in is the law of compensation.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm.
You may be sitting in a place that you think, you know, I don't deserve this life. Right? I don't deserve to be here. What's happening? I have this, that, and the other, and whatever. You know, whatever you may think is unfair and undue to you as an individual. But because if you're aligned with the universe and its principles, you'll recognize that there are so many things that you can be grateful for, where God actually compensates you. He literally compensates you. All you need to do is just see it, because everything is always existing around you. Everything beautiful is always existing around you. So you need to recognize that, okay, yes, perfect example for me. I'm a single mom. The father of my child is nowhere to be found, but my child eats, sleeps, her whole school fees is taken care of for the year. Like, everything is on, when I say on point, it's there. So why do I have to cry about not having a dad in her life while she thrives in an environment where she's loved and taken care of?
I like that, Gomo, the law of compensation, because, you know, the Bible says, or is it the Bible? Actually, it says you will never get a load that you will not be able to carry. And earlier on, you reminded me of my own journey where I look back in hindsight to say, oh, wow, I used to dream about this, or I used to think of the world like this, or of myself like this. And a couple of years later, I actually recognize it because I'm living it.
You're here.
The type of woman I thought could exist back then is the type of woman I see myself
literally
being
in
every
the
day,
flesh.
you know?
Yeah.
But to also know that all the challenges, all the things that I thought, oh, Amara, why, Mudimu, you know, why did I have to be born in situations like this? Or why is my life so difficult? To understand that I have everything within me to overcome those things. And my life can be used as a light for other people because I've overcome so much. So God will never give you a load that you'll not be able to carry. So I like that you have brought in the laws of the universe, because there's so much power in that. But I don't know just how many people are exposed to that. If you really get to understand even things like what you do unto other people comes back to you. You know, it's a simple thing that I think if more people were aware, we would be more conscious of how we treat each other as human beings.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, by being horrible to another person, you're creating karma for yourself. You know, but I don't know how many people are aware of these things outside of religion. I mean, we've seen how religion has made and broken people. But I think the laws of the universe are such a powerful, and they actually make sense just from a logical perspective. They are practical, and I think if more people were to read up a bit on them, they would feel a bit more empowered.
Yeah. The world is very scientific. The world is very it's extremely scientific, like to the point where there's like quantum physics, which I'm trying to understand right now. But my people used to understand that so well, of that they freaking created the pyramids, for God's sake. Currently in Kemet, there's a whole hydraulic system that literally could save the whole, this is controversial, that could literally save the whole power issue. We could use water. There's a whole hydraulic system, underground hydraulic system in Kemet that was used like times and times ago, more than 4,000 years ago, that was there before we were even like in God's mind. So the world is very scientific in the sense that once you follow certain practical practices, not even woo-woo, like, hey, you're praying, you're going to be on your knees. No, certain practices that you practice, like our own African spiritualities, right? I love the work that Ntate Ngiza wa the ancient Kemetic church.
Yeah.
That is headed by the Zinzi Mandela Foundation. I love the principle that it's a practice, like it's a science, right? There are sites where you could go in order for you to practice that science. Unfortunately, one of the sites are privately owned, but there's so many astronomical sites that we could actually tap into for our own spirituality as Batu, right? Those are the things that we should start exploring as an African people, like I believe, because those are the things that will set us apart. Those are the things that will move us from surviving to thriving, right? We're not meant to survive. I really believe in my bones, in my marrow, that we are not made to survive.
There's enough for all of us.
Absolutely. Like, I hope I'm not speaking woo-woo right now, but there's absolutely more than enough for us to thrive.
I agree with you, Gomo, and simply because it has been a way of life for African people before colonization. I mean, when we go back, and maybe Kemet is a bit far into history, but before, you look at the principles of Ubuntu, which exist across Africa using different terminologies. You look at sayings like, it takes a village to raise a child, for example. So such principles or ways of being have encouraged a sense of community, a sense that everybody has a place within the community. There was the barter exchange where people did not have to do the same thing in order for them to thrive, but they could exchange what they each produced amongst each other and have an ecosystem that actually worked for that particular community. But these are some of the things that we have lost as African people because we've adapted to the Western way of doing things, right?
Yes.
But I just want to get a sense of what grounds you or what keeps you grounded as a person. What, if you do have any spiritual practices, or even if they're not spiritual, what do you do to maintain a level of being groundedness, particularly because we are living in such a difficult time where people feel like they must assimilate, where they must be like everybody else? What keeps you grounded?
What keeps me grounded is so the principle of Christ, right? Christ is not external. The principle of Christ is an internal principle. Tapping into your Christ-like nature is something that I really honestly take very seriously. Like I isolate myself a lot. A lot of people might think that I'm being weird and whatever, especially my family. Sometimes they'll be like, oh my God, she's upstairs in her room. But it's a thing, I really just want, it's a crave, like it's like when you crave something. For me, that's my craving. Like that's my biggest craving, mobile pillow, to be seated with my creator and him sort of like giving me the wisdom in channels that I recognize. Obviously, it's not going to appear to me through like in church, because I don't attend church. He's not going to appear to me there. He's not going to try and get me there. He's going to appear to me in ways and lessons that I will be able to recognize, either through like social media or whatever. You know, he'll find a way.
Because spirit evolves,
through,
right?
Yes. He'll find a way. He'll find a way to communicate through with a friend, you know, a conversation, work, you know. God is in everything, and I think that's the thing that we don't see. God is in absolutely even your darkest moments. God is there, right? So it takes for you. I know life sometimes gets like really, really hectic, and you can't slow down, and you know you can't really have time to yourself. But when you can, just take that time to sort of like tap into your inner crevices, you know, just tap into that and try and tap into that as much as possible. If social media is taking up too much of your time from that, shut it down. You know, shut it down. You don't need it. Right? You may think that people who are living on social media, their lives are carrying on and blah, blah. But what life? What is the life that you think you're not living, that other people are living? What is it that you think? Even those people will tell you, no, it's a picture. Last week, Drake posted Champagne Baby. He posted, life is something. He said, life, some people think life is a picture, but people don't know what life we're living. That should tell you something. That should tell you something, right? We all think that, oh, these people are living their lives. Look within yourselves. Look within yourself and dig deep into who God intended you to be. Mobo Pilong. It might not look glamorous like Drake, but it will be something. And pray that you will be fulfilled within that thing that God has purpose for your life. Pray for that. Pray that God, once I'm in it, help me to be okay.
I like that. I remember saying to you, because we were talking about this particular engagement, and I said to you, and you're like, what are we going to wear? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not, very good with fashion.
Yeah.
But I think it's also about knowing yourself, like you say. And being okay with it.
You're just being like, whatever, let's flow, let's rock.
Yes. And to not feel like that takes anything away from who you are.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
God intended for me to like the things. Yes. I like the things. Okay? I just like the things. The things like me. I don't know. Right? So it's not like my God is our God, Mama, is abundant. He wants us to live like this. He really does. Don't get it twisted. Don't think that, no, you need to be another way, or you need to be something else. You need to be a different skin tone. You need to work a certain job. You need to... That's why I really love this new movement of Black people on TikTok just showing up as themselves and doing their challenges. That for me really just... Like the teacup challenge that I saw the other day. I even tweeted that I really, really love this teacup challenge because you can see how wholesome we are. But because sometimes we feel like, oh my God, my house doesn't look like Kim Kardashian's house. I can't post it on Instagram. No.
We all want to be the same.
Yeah. Like
and
just because I'm not, yeah. You know what I mean? Yes, we want to look presentable to the masses so that they can take us seriously, but it doesn't help. I too see, because the masses don't live that way. How about we show up as ourselves?
I like that.
How about? Maybe. I mean, for me, that really just warms my heart when I'm seeing that the mohola dutsi more recliner ya hai in a plastic cover. I see I see because you know I over the years. That for me is wholesome.
I like that.
Trench coat you know, that for me is wholesome. That for me is our culture. That for me is culture. That's real culture. That's not. I really, really just want us to go back to who we are and show up just the way we are, because that's enough.
I like that. I like that. So where to from here?
Friend, I don't know. Like life is beautiful, man. Once you get through the dark moments, you start gaining perspective. You start recognizing what's important and what's not, right? And you sort of flow in that direction. And because God is God, He just literally just puts certain people in your life that will confirm that, yeah, you're doing okay. Move. It's okay. Yeah. Or sharp. Tamaso. Yeah. Why? It's in the right direction.
I like what you're saying, to say God will put or remove certain people from your life. And once you start vibrating at a particular frequency.
Exactly.
You then recognize that that you actually can choose a different path for yourself, a path that is more wholesome, a path that embraces you in your full being, you know. And we don't have to be perfect. I mean, some of the relationships I've cultivated over the recent couple of years have really been so empowering, in a sense that I feel really free to be myself, you know, and I don't have to feel like I must be or do all these things, you know, to fit into...
And be extra.
Yes, into a particular space. But I suppose also growing up can do that to one, and growing up in a sense that not only years, you know, but growing up emotionally, being more grounded spiritually, really getting to know who you are, does ground one. It for me, it certainly stabilized me as a full being, you know. Although I definitely know that I'm definitely going to be growing more and more, because I feel that when we are not growing, then, you know, there's no life. So I constantly want to be growing, understanding things differently, gaining new insights, new perspectives. And that sometimes will rock your world a bit. You know, it will rattle you a bit so that you get out of your comfort zone. But that is such a blessing, and I've recognized it as such. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is that my personal journey has taught me that I don't have to conform to a specific way of being in order to be accepted. And that there is enough for everyone. Like how you want to be, there's a community out there for you.
I think that's what it is, right? I think I'm going to go back to how you said that if you're not growing in an environment, and I'm paraphrasing from what I think you were saying, if you're not growing in an environment, then you don't want to really necessarily be in it. I know with me, I don't know if you know the Kaizen philosophy, right? It literally just teaches you to sort of like discipline yourself by living in the present. So the present means that you are literally going to take whatever it is in your life and you are flipping it, right? You're literally going to flip it for your advantage and for your betterment. And that is your primary concern, right? If it's not teaching you or growing you, then you're not there.
It's not it. Gomo, that is so powerful, and I thought this was going to be the end of our conversation, but it's powerful because mindfulness as a practice, as a spiritual practice, has become a big thing. So consciousness, awareness, being present. And, when you are present and you find yourself in a particular situation, that mindfulness, that presence gives you an opportunity to say, wait up. Am I reacting or am I choosing to respond? Mm-hmm. And that is what life really presents us with. And that's where the growth is. The short pauses that make us question whether we are reacting based on our past experiences, based on our fears, based on our histories of lack and whatever that comes with an ordinary black child. Or am I being present and seeing the situation or the opportunity in every situation that I experience, because there's an opportunity in every situation.
I love that. I love that there's an opportunity. There's always an opportunity. Life, as Jay-Z said it, it's not Jay-Z, but life is happening for you. It's not happening to you. It's happening for you, for your betterment, for your advancement. So the first switch is you recognizing that and using that to your advantage. It's an opportunity for you to grow and learn. It might not necessarily be opportune.
It might not look like the right time. Yeah.
Yes. Emotionally, it's not going to be opportune because you're really just being inconvenienced emotionally. Like, you are going to have a hard time. You're going to feel sad and disillusioned and disappointed and all of those really negative emotions. But once you recognize that everything that is happening in your life is happening for your betterment, I think that's where the switch happens. That, oh my God, I get to turn my life around and my ancestors' lives around and my children's lives around, because this is not what I come from. This is not the situation that I come from, but I'm changing it. Mm-hmm. You get to do that. You are the one that was chosen to do that. That for me is like the ultimate. That's better than getting a Birkin bag.
As you're talking, I am finding other things that I want to speak to you about, but we are almost 2 hours into our conversation, so I suggest...
Are you kidding me? 2 hours already? No way.
I suggest we park it at that. Thank you so much for being part of Conscious Conversations, for being brave to put your life out there, because it now will be out there.
I'm so dreading the sound bites.
You're thinking patterns. What makes you will be out there. And that takes a lot of courage. So I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for trusting me with your deepest thoughts, for wanting to share a part of you with everybody who will be listening to this.
Thanks, friend. When you asked me to be part of Conscious Conversations, I was obviously apprehensive because I don't like being I'm the behind the scenes type person. But because I recognize that there's a really safe and responsible space that I would be in, right? I know that you're not going to take whatever it is that I say and then just make it into
tabloid,
crazy soundbite or whatever, sensationalist or whatever. I really felt like, I would be in a safe environment. And thank you so much for making this platform for us. It actually takes a whole lot more than you think, right? For you, it's like natural. It ain't no thing, because it's your purpose. But it actually takes a lot to create a space that is not secular, right? A space where, you're not going to get a lot of listenership, but you're taking your resources and you are planting it in an environment where you genuinely want women to recognize their value and their place in the world. So I really am excited to be part of it.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Ring bell. Thank you for sharing your time with us today. I truly hope you learned something new, felt something, and were inspired to cultivate a more conscious life. I'd love to connect with you, hear your thoughts and stories. Please feel free to reach out. Our contact details can be found on moncem.co.za.
You've been listening to another production from Solid Gold Podcasts.